Hey everybody, this is Eric and Larry from All Scale Garage, and we're out in the garage today working on our 70 Datsun 510 that we originally built in this garage in when?
It was late 89, 90, 91.
Yeah, and it has been in the family ever since. So the quick story on this vehicle, this was originally built in that time to be a time speed distance car by our good friend and honestly a member of our family, Dave Bingham, who passed away in 1995. Dave's wife and daughter were nice enough to let us be the caretakers of this vehicle from that point forward. During that time, Dad decided that he needed a autocross car, a fun car to drive, because really we just had a wagon at the time and no cars to take out and do track days and whatever. So we actually took all of the rally pieces off of this vehicle, put them in a box, kind of staged it as a little
rally car kit.
Oh, like a time capsule / rally car crate, and put it up in the attic and haven't touched it in probably 15 years. Now we're building another vehicle for Dad to use for the road racing, autocross, fun purposes, and we're going to take and convert this car back to what it was in the late 90s. So this vehicle was built for time speed distance rallying, so I don't know a ton about what that is, other than it was off-road on public roads and throughout Northeast Ohio.
During the night.
Yeah, it was in the evening, probably through Amish country, and it was
Ohio Winter Rally. We ran that a couple times with it.
Yeah,
it was time, speed, and distance. So you had to keep you had to get to the checkpoints at a certain time. And usually you were never ahead of time. You were always behind time. So you were always going faster than what you were supposed to go. But that's what made it extremely exciting in the woods at night.
So being a time speed distance car, you had to keep track of the time accurately. And part of the way this car had the ability to do that was it had an early 90s rally computer that had speed sensor pickups on both of the front wheels. One wheel would be okay, but in case you ripped one off on a log or over a branch or something, you actually could switch between the pickups. And a full display for both the driver and the navigator. Now remember, this was early 90s technology, so this is all LCD screens and looks very much like something from Back to the Future. Some of the other cool features that this vehicle had that was done and built by Dave and Dad back in the early 90s are a full skid plate under the front, rally lighting on the front. It has 4 Rally or Hello Rally 2000 lights that I'm pretty sure you can't even get anymore, right? We looked into it. They're
priceless.
Pretty much priceless. And these have amber lenses, which I know from hearing Dave talk, and again, I was only 13 when this car was built. The amber lenses were imported and basically almost unavailable in the United States. So really cool pieces and cool vintage parts. It has an external backup light, which is a giant fog light that had been converted to be a backup light. This one's going to have a bolt-in roll cage. The roll cage out of this car actually went with another vehicles we built, so we're going to use the roll bar that's in it. It's not a full cage. It doesn't have the front section. But for what we're planning on doing with this vehicle, which is going to be mostly car shows, power tour, local road rallies, as in rolling car shows, the half cage is going to be fine. It's going to be easier to get in and out of. The suspension on this car is another awesome piece. This actually has factory Nissan Safari rally suspension. So if you look at the old red Datsun rally cars, or like Peter Brock's car that he recently has gotten back, his old rally car, very similar suspension setup on this vehicle. One of our next projects on this, actually, after getting it running and getting it going, will be to upgrade the rear suspension, which again, the springs, I think, springs are over there. Yeah, so the springs are over there. We're going to check out the lower control arms, the cross member, make sure everything's up to snuff, and get all those pieces back on it. Dad already has done the front suspension and got the front struts back on, which are how much longer than the stock struts? They're
a couple inches.
Yeah, it definitely has a lifted look, and it's a pretty cool setup to see on a 510. I just got done putting the engine in this car last weekend. And we got the engine, we got the transmission in it. Dad's been thrashing all week, getting the fluids filled in, getting the carburetors on, and getting everything up to speed so we can actually do a first startup today. But to give you a quick rundown of the parts and what we did, this is an L20B engine that is fully rebuilt. Nothing tricked, pretty much stock internals, nothing crazy.
It's balanced.
Yeah, balanced assembly. The head is which head is this? So is it an L20B head or is it a?
It's an L20B, I forget what the number is.
No, it's an L20B.
It's on the side there. An A87.
U67 head for you
U67.
Datsun people that know what you're talking about. It's a U67 head with some taken off of it. And it's got a Racer Brown rally camshaft in it, and then the upgraded springs and retainers and everything that goes along with that. The carburetors are the small SUs, so these are going to be the 1600 SSS carburetors.
Yeah, 1600 SS carburetors, 1.5 or
Yeah.
whatever the millimeter is.
With on an SSS manifold actually. The transmission we threw in we didn't throw it in. It took several tries. There was several options of throwout bearings, and Dad happened to have pretty much all of them. So we had to take the transmission out a couple times to get it right, but we did finally get the proper clutch adjustment and the right throwout bearing in the car. But we're using a dogleg 5-speed, which has a very funky shift pattern.
And that's the racing shift pattern.
Yeah, which was the racing shift pattern, where first gear and reverse is actually out of the H. So your H is going to be your second, third, fourth, and fifth. But that's the 5-speed we're putting back in this car. We're gonna do some upgrades on the interior as well coming up. We're definitely gonna get some new seats and try to make it a little bit more comfortable. We're gonna plan on taking some road trips in this vehicle and go to some different car shows and different events. And I think a little bit of comfort wouldn't hurt. It's got a plastic dune buggy bucket seat right now in it. The idea of this is just to bring this car back to what it once was, because at the one time it was one of the nicer rally cars in this area for sure. And Dave put his heart and soul in it right before he passed away, and we're looking forward to bringing it back to that for both his family and for us. It's something we've wanted to do for a while now, and we're real happy to be able to do that. All right, now so our plan is today we're going to get this oil pump primed. We're going to try to get this thing started and see what sort of issues we have, if we have anything going on. A lot of the parts that we've put on this have been sitting in boxes for a long time, like the carburetors. I think these were off of my first car, which was, I don't know, 96, 97, and then that car slowly rotted away, and these were saved. So parts box distributor, a lot of pieces on this, we're gonna make sure to work for the first time here and haven't been in use on a vehicle in a long time, so.
Yep, you advanced it.
All right, I got it. I dropped the washer. Good.
Okay. Boy. So you can see it better. Just want to put a mark there and there at each end. The big sides that towards the back. We just have to put it back at that same spot.
Oh, so okay, the big side's towards the rear. Big side towards the rear. Got it.
So here's the piece we just removed, which is the distributor drive. This has got the gear that runs off the crankshaft. This little flat is what runs the oil pump, and this goes up and runs the distributor. So this is the piece we saw before we removed it. So we remove this, and we're going to use this to pre-oil the engine. So this is a piece Dad had made a long time ago that is a distributor drive gear with the gear removed. It's pinned here, and we cut off a distributor, cross-drilled it, and using a roll pin. And this allows us to use an electric drill to pre-oil the oil pump and pre-oil the engine. There we go. Counterclockwise.
pressure yet. It's coming up now. Got 5 pounds. 20 pounds. 40 pounds. Man, it's climbing fast. 45 pounds.
Okay, so now all we need to do is remove all these parts and go back to a distributor so we can try starting this up. We verified that we have oil pressure and we verified that on the gauge. Dad's got the timing light hooked up over here. He's in the process of hooking up the dwell meter over here. We know we have fluid. We know we have fuel. We're going to check and make sure fuel pump works, carburetors work, distributor work, and we're good to go so we can do a first startup and see if we can make this run. That's a good sign.
Oh, keep that on. Ready?
Yep. Idling better. Is that the idle adjustment screw or air or what is that? That's the idle screw. What does that do?
That's the Richmond.
Okay, so that controls.
That pop out. How's this going on the car? That's the actual Richmond. That raises or lowers the jet.
Yeah, so that's how much fuel it's how much
yeah.
fuel it's getting. So what Dad's doing now is we're using a unisync on the carburetors, and that's gonna give us a measure of how much air is flowing in through the velocity stuff. So we can balance them. So like that front one, it's barely up to that first mark right now. Now the only problem with this, as soon as you put it over it, the car starts to slow on. Of course, it sucks less air. But the idea is to try to get it so it's somewhat equal between the front and rear. All right, so we had a pretty successful first startup. The smoke you're seeing is off of the exhaust manifold and the header. It's been painted, so that's what we're getting, a little bit of smoke. But all in all, everything seemed to go pretty well. Timing's right on, dwell seems fine. I'll give you some adjustments on the carburetor to get it to idle. Thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate everybody liking and subscribing to the videos. Please keep it up. We love sharing this stuff with you guys, and we want to be able to keep doing it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.